just having the idea of like being in that university style of work where you know the teammates, like you know all the team coaches, you have access to practices, workout, all sorts of stuff. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so when the opportunity arose, like I was like, I can't say no. Like this is a great opportunity to especially be the person that is essentially the oversight for the creative content and how it looks is a big deal. What you should just do is get comfortable with your camera and social content, like whatever you want to actually work on, and just do it. Like there is plenty in colleges, there's plenty of athletes that like want content of themselves that you could talk to them and be like, hey, let me come shoot your workout or let me come take photos of this, and just like get comfortable doing that, because eventually like that portfolio work is what helps with the job, because when you can go to someone and confidently say that you know how to do this, that's good.
What's up, everyone? My name is Václav Černošek and I'm the founder of Blue Lens Production. In today's episode, I talk with Ethan. He is a creative content coordinator at D1 University. We talked about his experience in videography and photography, and we also touched on his freelancing career. I hope you will like this episode and enjoy it. How was you when you were growing up, maybe in high school, college? Did you always have passion into media industry, photo, video, or when did you find that passion when you pick up the camera?
Growing up, I think taking photos was kind of a normal thing. I didn't really have my own camera though until I was like in high school. So growing up, my parents took photos, and I always thought it was cool, but I never actually participated in it. And then about middle school, a little bit into high school, I got an iPhone, and I was like taking photos on an iPhone for a little bit.
Mhm.
And then from there, when I went to go get my first job, it just happened to be that I got it at a local TV station, just
Okay.
kind of like getting into just doing like all the random jobs there. And so from that, I basically ended up like going into um like the news side of things and saved up enough money to buy a camera, and then basically ended up kind of like pursuing that in a way.
So when you got that first job in a TV, was that still in the middle school or high school?
Oh yeah, that was in high school. So it was like my first, I was like 16, 17, and it was like my first job. And it was like pre-recorded TV station. So
Okay.
it wasn't like a live, we didn't really have a lot of live shows. It was more of the like go out into the community, record some stuff, and then we would play it on air like throughout the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
So it really taught me a lot about like video editing and like talking on camera, because at the time I thought that I wanted to be like a newscaster or like an actor, or like
Yeah.
someone in front of the camera. And then through that process, I was trying to think about like, if I don't, because I came from a small town, so if I didn't make it as an actor or something like that, like what would be my backup option? So I started learning how to do the behind the scenes stuff, as well as be on camera. And it kind of just developed from there. Getting my camera, making short films, doing all sorts of photo gigs and in high school, and just kind of like going into college, kind of doing the same thing.
So when you get into that senior year of high school and you were deciding to go to the college, was it for sure you want to go in the media industry, or did you have something else in mind and maybe pursue just you studied mass media? Was there maybe some other major that you were looking at?
Yeah, so the big thing that when I was looking for schools, I actually was dead set on going to some of the schools up in Atlanta,
Hmm.
because I knew that Atlanta had the acting scene. I knew they had the sports teams. I knew they had all sorts of stuff going on. And I was thinking, like, let's go there, because in my head, it was like, go there and do the things in the industry, like, be so close to the industry that you just get put there.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was media in college, because in our high school system, we didn't have any kind of technology,
Hmm.
media like class. So I really wanted to learn a lot more about it, because at the time, and this is like 4 or 5 years ago now, at the time, a lot of people were saying like, don't go to, this is when everyone was preaching the whole like, don't go to business school. Don't
Oh
go,
yeah.
just don't go get a regular business degree.
Yeah.
Go get something that you can actually use, like marketing or something like that. And so in my head, it never really clicked that I could use another degree for what I do. I just knew that it was like media and communication slash like film is like the area I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really, really only led me to a few schools, which then my after some discussion and things like that, like I think we landed on Valdosta because it was it was away from Atlanta, which is not where I really wanted to go, but I knew the area a lot better, and the program had a different feeling to it than some of the other schools that I had visited.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the meaning of like they covered a lot more of a variety in media, which at the time was one of those things that a lot of schools weren't doing.
Yeah.
Mass media was not like an actual thing that schools were doing. So that's why I chose that, because I wanted that variety of like give me a little bit of everything and let me kind of figure it out.
So I know in Valdosta you were involved a lot in media. You were doing a lot of the sports, but also taking photos of other stuff. So when you came to the college, how did you start actually get your position into being able to go to the football games, go to the sports games, and be able to take pictures for the university?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of a long process. Freshman year, I was very like into literally everything. My idea or goal was basically do everything, and then eventually you'll figure out what you like to do, and then
Mm-hmm.
you'll figure out what you don't like to do. And so I literally, like, any person I saw or any person I interacted with, we somehow ended up just working out, like, let's just go take photos, let's go take
Mm-hmm.
videos, doing all sorts of stuff. And this was kind of the point where I was trying to get um I was starting to make a little bit more money, or I was starting to make a little money as doing those videos and stuff. And so I was trying to focus on that. And I started just reaching out to people because I had people that I worked with through high school that had
Okay.
connection to people. And they would say, just like, reach out to this person, doesn't hurt to ask. And so I was one of those people that growing up, like, my my parents always said that I could go into sales because all I do is just like ask people all sorts of stuff. And I wasn't afraid to ask anyone for fundraising money or anything like that throughout high school and middle school. But basically, my theory was like, it doesn't hurt to ask. The worst they're going to do is say no.
Yeah.
And as long as you're polite about it, like, maybe something will come of it. And so I reached out to some people, talked to some people, didn't really get anywhere, but I still kind of got involved. Where it kind of turned was there was a day where a friend of mine took me, and he knew I was in the mass media program and knew I could do a camera, knew I was looking for that kind of stuff. And he asked me to come to football practice one day. And from there, that's kind of where it started. Like, I went to football practice to film football practices for the coaches to review the film. So I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing anything creative. It was just sit and film the plays so they could look at them and make sure the kids were doing them right. And from that, they gave me access to some of the games. And
Okay.
also from that, I was at the field house one night, and a alumni came back to take some photos of our football team, because they had been doing, this was when the national championship, like, they had a really good season leading up to
Mm-hmm.
that. And so this alumni that graduated came back and took some creative photos, and we just happened to run into him because we were doing something late there that night. And we were talking to him, and we were just like, can we stay and like watch what you
Yeah.
do? And from that, it kind of like led me to really kind of like, after I saw the photos that he took, I was like, this is the kind of stuff I want to work with. Like, doing that it was a late night shoot with one of the quarterbacks, and like it was really cool to see that and see the outcome of it. And the photos are like really, really good. And that kind of started the whole, like, after we did that, I was like, how do I get back to doing that? Like, I want to
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to do that. And so from there, I just started doing a bunch of jobs, doing anything that I could take a photo or video of. And eventually, the momentum of my portfolio started to pick up some. And then obviously during that time we hit the COVID, and so that kind of stopped everything.
Yeah.
And I went back home and everything, so I had nothing to do for several months.
I see you more like a photo guy, like more taking pictures, but I know you also do video. So would you consider yourself more into photo industry that you're more professional or both or more video? What would you say?
Um, I think I think for a long time it was photo, and I think it still is photo because I have a good understanding of studio photography, which a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people nowadays don't. And that's the one thing that some people like understanding how to use equipment that not everyone uses puts you in a different field, and it
Mm-hmm.
allows you to do different techniques and different styles of photos. So I think I have a lot of photo stuff down. I'm always trying to learn new stuff, but recently a lot more of my video stuff has been the thing that's been like more prominent, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I am kind of in a solo, there's like there kind of place where there's people that can do the photos, but there's not a lot of people that can do the videos. And
Yeah,
knowing how to do videos for people like that is kind of what sets you apart from another person, or just adds another value to the client that you're working with.
makes
So I
sense.
would say it's about hybrid, but recently I've been doing a lot more video, and it feels pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
Okay, so now we covered your college career and you graduated, you entered the life after college, started searching for jobs. So right now you're working in Stanford University, right?
That's right.
And you are their content create for
Yeah.
the creative team, like the main person.
Yeah, so my job title over there is the creative content coordinator. So
Okay.
my job is to just coordinate all of the creative content that the athletic department is like pushing out. So I'm involved in a lot of the post production, pre production, and sometimes like in the actual production of doing most of the videos. But most like I'm just kind of there to facilitate and work on different stuff.
Good. So, can you tell me a little bit the way how were you able to land this job? Because that can be for many people that are in college. That could be their dream job that they're looking at after they graduate, that they would like to pursue it. And I've been following your Instagram, and it seems cool, for somebody who likes to be in the media. You get on a team plane and you go to the tournaments. You are always with the team. You are able to capture the behind the scenes and do a lot of stuff with the college. So can you tell me how were you able to land this job after graduating college?
Yeah, I'm gonna back up just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So after they're in college, after all the COVID stuff happened and we got back to school, I actually landed my job with the university as like a student intern, doing photo work. So that's why my photo work is a lot more heavier because
Mm-hmm.
my main job for 3 years was photo. And basically I just took that as a learning opportunity, and working in the marketing side of a university as a photo person puts you in a position to learn so much more about, like, besides the point of taking cool photos of someone, it puts the value of purpose in what you're taking. So we did a lot of advertisements, billboards, and stories, and just a lot of stuff like that that builds up over time. Like you just learn a lot. So leading up to graduation, I was in a crossroads of not knowing where I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to do something in sports media. That was what I wanted to do. And it was just one of those things where people don't tell you this, but when you graduate and you're applying for jobs, like there's some people that get a job right away. There's other people that it just takes them a long time.
Yeah.
And that's not because you're not qualified. It's just because sometimes the places are not a right fit or right time. I
Mm-hmm.
applied to, um, I probably applied to like 5, 6, 7 places before I actually got the job at Sanford. And by the time I got the job at Sanford, I wasn't actually looking for a job anymore because I was kind of thinking that there was a certain season that you apply to things, because
Yeah.
most of the time my ideas, it was like when I graduated I had the whole summer because
Mm-hmm.
I went to work a camp overseas in Brazil, to to do like media for this like nonprofit organization.
Okay.
And that was just like something like a little side quest, as I would call it. It was like a 2 month gig freelance,
Yeah.
and I was with them to do that. And that was great. In that time, I was looking for a job and also worrying about kind of like the freelance side of things, because I had some connections, had some people I worked with that were giving me jobs here and there, and I would just like kind of do them and collect the money. And that was I was making that work. Um, and so basically, I'd done a lot of interviews leading up to graduation
Mm-hmm.
and did like one, two, three rounds of certain jobs. And either like one of the places I applied to, they had the person that was interviewing me. I reached out to them to be like, why haven't I heard anything? And I've been to the third round, and they basically told me that the person that interviewed me got a different like left. He got a different job,
Oh,
and I was like, okay, so where does that put us at?
yeah.
And so there was several interview for jobs that were in sports media for universities that just the timing was off. Like we would go through two or three rounds. I wouldn't hear anything, no rejections. Maybe find out a month later, 2 months later that someone else got the job. So it was very daunting throughout that time. And basically, I was at a point where I had stopped applying for jobs and I just
Mm-hmm.
started looking like I applied to everything. And then after the summer or during the summer, I kind of stopped looking and stopped applying to everywhere and just started to look for places that I wanted to go work at or could possibly work at. I was scrolling on my phone late one night and basically saw the job opening and applied for it. 2 weeks later, got like the initial email of like starting the interview process. And then from there, I went there in person for an interview, had like a Zoom meeting, and we did it like 3 or 4 times. And then they offered me the job,
Mm-hmm.
and now I work there. Came in just in time for basketball season, so that was a fun little um, compared to what I was doing. That schedule like picked up a lot
Yeah.
more. I was working freelance, which is and I was doing good at it. I was doing some like production jobs, did some TV commercial things, did like some photo gigs, and was making the money that I needed to live. But just having the idea of like being in that university style of work where you know the teammates, like you know all the team coaches, you have access to practices, workouts, trips, all sorts of stuff. I was kind of like that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so when the opportunity arose, like I was like, I can't say no. Like this is a great opportunity to especially be the person that is essentially the oversight for the creative content and how it looks is a big deal, especially for someone that's
Yeah.
like right out of college. So I
For
was like,
sure.
got it. That was like that's just kind of how it happened. And so yeah, I definitely had to take it.
For sure. Do you think there was something different that you did at this interview than you did in the last ones, where here you got the job and maybe at the other ones you didn't do and they never talked to you back?
Yeah, I think one of the issues, I think with that, some of the other interviews I had done, it was in a time where I was still working on other things. So like there
Mm-hmm.
was times where they would be like, "Can we do an interview?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they knew my resume, they knew what I did, and I
Yeah.
would be like, "Hey, I am like, in the middle of a 3-day conference working
Uh,
photo and video. I can take the interview, but like just know that like I'm not gonna be wearing a suit or I'm not gonna be wearing my like professional clothes
mm-hmm.
or I'll look as nice as I can. And they were always very nice about it. I just think the connection there, genuine, like the genuosity of the people, I just didn't connect with them really well. And I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I think that had a lot to do with it.
Makes sense.
And the difference with Sanford was I went there, I knew a lot about the school from my fiance that went there.
Mm-hmm.
So I like knew a lot about it. And I'd also, because she went there, like I had followed some of their accounts. So I could relate a lot to like what they were looking for. And I think they hadn't really interviewed someone at that point that knew about all the things that they were wanting to accomplish.
Yeah.
And I think I just fit that really well whenever we were talking in the interviews.
Good. So when you started working there and it was like your first big job after college, how was it like compared to the job that you did in Valdosta? Was it like similar? Did you feel like you know what you're doing, or sometimes you felt like you don't know what you do, you needed to Google stuff, or how did you feel? And how did you feel when you were now in bigger school with bigger teams and it was actually your responsibility to oversee what's coming out to their Instagram page and to their social media?
Yeah, I think the difference right off the bat is like you said, it's a bigger school. It's like a Division 1 school. The fun thing was I had more people around me that could do content stuff.
Hmm.
We have like a pretty big student team. We when I got there, we the people that I replaced, obviously when people leave and people graduate or your boss leaves, like people the numbers tend to shift. So like some students had other obligations or they just didn't want to, continue working there.
Yeah.
And so I came in and I had to learn all of those relationships with the students where, they're meeting someone that's almost the same age, but knows what they're like, kind of like fostering that
Hmm.
bit like boss relationship to them and getting them to trust me. And then, I kind of built some more numbers up around us. So we have right now, it's like 8 students that
Oh,
are
good.
content based. We're slowly getting it up higher. It's just like personally, I like it to be at like 10, 15. But like we have that number, we're just like training them still. But anyway, yeah, coming in, it was a little interesting and it was a lot to take in, especially because the excitement of being at a new school, the excitement
Yeah.
of being at a big team, the along with all the requests that immediately, like after you start working there, it's like, all right, here's like 2 hours of us getting to know the university, like where I'm from, like
Hmm.
where everything's at. And then it's like the rest is like, all right, here's a meeting and like let's talk about content needs because we're right in the middle of seasons. And you're like, all right, so we're getting to
Yeah.
work quick. All right. So um it was a challenge to begin with. I mean, I think they say like when you start a job, like the first 6 months is the part that is the hardest.
Hmm.
Um I came in October, which is when volleyball and football ends and basketball starts. And that's also between leading up to like Thanksgiving break, Christmas break. And this was the first time that like I got there and I was like, all right, let's do this. And they were like, all right, so here's some media day content that we haven't edited yet. And you have like the spring sports are coming up for their media day on top of some of these games that we got to send you to. So I got to learn real quick and started just opening my laptop and just we started working and like
Yeah.
getting that stuff pumped out to the different sports.
Good. So right now you're in that position. Do you still do freelance on the side or you concentrate mostly on doing that as your full-time job?
Yeah, so I would say the first when I moved over, like October, November, December, January, and February, I was mainly focused on the job itself, just learning it. Obviously I still had freelance jobs booked in like that in some of those months that I had
Yeah.
to take care of still, but I wasn't seeking any new jobs. Like I
Hmm.
wasn't trying to um, cold call or like email a lot of people because I just didn't have a lot of time for it.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit easier because now we're out of some of that stuff and I have some people reaching out to me and I have reached out to some people and just some of that. So I still freelance on the side where I can. But for the first couple of months, I was definitely just focused on the job itself because that's a lot to take in and learn on the fly. And so I didn't want to be doing too much at a time. But now I'm getting to the point where our season's kind of like mellowing out, and I'm kind of getting
Hmm.
very used to my position. And so there's times where I've had people call me and be like, hey, we had this job or whatever, or are you available for these dates? And like as long as it doesn't conflict, I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So
Yeah.
always taking on some extra cash where I can.
Yeah, of course. So just real quick, could you say like in general how your regular day looks like? I'm sure it changes if you go to the games or if it's some practices or special day that you need to record. But for in case if there's not game and you just need to plan content, how do you usually take care of your day?
Yeah, so like a normal day for me is like usually I get up pretty early in the morning. If I have anything going on where I need to catch up on work or get stuff kind of rolling, I'll work early in the morning, like probably 7 a.m. and I'll work from like
Mm-hmm.
7 to 8. And then then like from there I'll go to work. And usually at work, depending on the day, if we have meetings or not, that's kind of why I might be doing catch up in the morning because I have to go to like some like to like I have to go to more meetings now as a person that's over content. Like I have to sit there and we have to plan out and negotiate stuff. So I sometimes will play catch up in the morning. When I get there in the morning, like I'll try and get as much stuff done as possible, or plan out what students could do for me. So there's some editing involved in that. That's also looking at students that are available, looking at practice schedules, because as much as I want to be at every single practice, there's
Mm-hmm.
just times where football's practicing and volleyball's practicing, and it's like, all right, I need to go take care of one sport, so let me get this student to go to a different sport, and that also helps them learn how to take photos of that sport. So whenever that season comes back around, I'm like, hey, a game is just like practice, except it's a
Yeah.
little bit more, organized. So I'll kind of do that in the morning, and then from there we might have a meeting, we might not, depending on the day. So I'll kind of work on that. And then whatever shoots I have planned that day, like sometimes I have photo stuff I have to do, sometimes I have video stuff. I'll do that and then, organize that, get started on that. So it's kind of like one of those things where the days vary, but if I have a shoot or a practice plan, like I'll go to that. And then outside of that, I'm just pushing content and also looking for new ideas. So that's the kind of a roundabout way of how we do things. Game days are very similar, depending on the day. Like if it's during the week, I'll go to work like normal and then go straight to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's easy to, it's like right there and
Yeah.
whatever. But a lot of my days are spent editing and also being at practices and workouts. So it's fun because you don't always have to sit behind a desk. Like there's days like today where
That's
I
good.
went and I like did some work and then went and filmed the practice or whatever. So it was kind of fun to just be like, oh, like I gotta go to their practices, gotta
Yeah.
go to their event or whatever. So it's a nice little change of pace every day.
Yeah, you get to do something else than just edit and sit at the
Yeah.
desk. That's good.
Yeah, because that gets boring sometimes.
It does. Yeah. So, would you have any recommendation for people that might be still in a college that would like to pursue this as their career in the future?
Yeah, if anyone is like interested in something like this, what you should just do is just take as much, get comfortable with your camera and social content, like whatever you want to actually work on, and just do it. Like find like there is plenty in colleges, there's plenty of athletes that need like want content of themselves that you could talk to them and be like, hey, let me come shoot your workout or let me come take photos of this, and just like get comfortable doing that because eventually like that portfolio work is what helps with the job because when you can go to someone and confidently say that you know how to do this,
Yeah.
that that's good. It's also one of those things where just I always tell people like just shoot as much, like take as many photos and videos as you can because you never know when like that will come back and come back around to like people needing your work and stuff. It also helps you just get comfortable. Like being comfortable is a
Mm-hmm.
good area because like I said, when you know how to do something, it comes the like workload and people trust you better. It like comes a lot easier. But also like if you're interested in working in sports and doing stuff for an athletic department or a university or whatever, like take photos of that kind of stuff. Like find your athletes, find a rec game, find something that the recreation center is putting on, or a sorority, fraternity, sports related. Like take photos of that stuff. And it might not be the college football team or the college baseball team, but it might be someone might see it and go, wow, like they know how to capture the action and they know how to do it well. If you want to, be a social media person, like do TikToks for a group or organization and show them that you know how to keep up with the trends and edit videos and stuff like that. Because that will help you. And it definitely helped me. And just like in that, you'll learn what you like and don't like. And that also helps you because when you're applying the jobs, the worst thing that I mean, and I've done this once or twice, is the worst thing is to get on an interview and start talking about ideas you have and then realize that the job actually meant something else. And it's like, oh, sorry, I must have misread that. Or like you apply to so many jobs, you forget all the description parts
Yeah,
of
that
them.
happens. Yeah.
So like, just, you'll learn what you like and just apply for what you want. And eventually it will come.
And thank you so much for coming here and sharing your story.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode. I think this was another inspiring story. Please go check out Ethan's Instagram where you can see a lot of his work. Also hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. You can also follow me on Instagram at Blue Lens Production. Thank you for watching again and I will see you at the next episode.